Okay, let's start. Um, as usual, every Monday, here we are again. It's a slot for Men's Brief. Again and again, I would like to remind everyone this is nothing about men's underwear or Ilyas or Omar's undergarments. So, because people will ask, so what brand? Okay, if you want to know, ladies, you want to know, so you need to ask both of them. PM. All right. So basically, today's series will talk about matters that are not usually discussed or openly talk about men's issues or challenges. Welcome to Point of View series. Today is our 37th episode. And the Point of View is basically a live online talk show where we invite guests to share their knowledge, experiences, or wisdom to our audience. And I would like to also reiterate the purpose of Point of View series is basically a venue for all of us to enlighten each other and hopefully along the lines of getting us the light bulb moment so that we all could act upon for the betterment of ourselves and also others surrounding us. And special on Monday, I'll have to share this, the big picture thinking around the man's brief. We would like to convey the idea around insight on how men might think, and therefore we women, we know how to handle them or rather to understand them. And we also would like to send some form of messages to all men out there. If you're facing men's issues, rest assured that you are not alone, right? And there are others who might be also facing or experiencing the same issues. And here with us today, as for the second time, Ilyas, thank you so
Hi.
much. Thank you so much for 1 hour of your precious Monday. And I would like to also acknowledge our viewers. Thank you so much for your support. In fact, at this 37 episode, we can declare that we have quite a number of regular viewers already. Thank you so much for your support, and thank you for those who are new. Thank you so much for dropping by. I hope that however long that you like to be with us, you'll gain something out of it. And you're also allowed to share your experience, to share your opinion, and you can ask question as well by typing that in the comment section. Okay, so without further ado, as usual, let's introduce ourselves. Omar, Ilyas, and I are corporate trainers. We also coaches, we also mentors, and or speakers in our own specialization. All right, so let's hear from each one of us about our focus. So let's start with Omar.
Yeah, hi everybody, welcome back. For those who are watching this for the first time, welcome to the show. Yeah, so my name is Omar and I am a conversation coach. What I do is I help people develop confidence to speak up for those who need this kind of help. I also help people articulate ideas across to their listeners. Okay, so that's what I do. And let's move on to Ilyas.
Hi everyone, welcome to the show. My name is Ilyas Yusha. I'm a coach. I do coach a lot of entrepreneurs who's just starting their business. I myself is an entrepreneur as well as a trainer. I have a whitewater rafting company that I operate in Three Rivers in northern Selangor and Perak. Yeah. So that's it. A little bit about me. That's all.
All right.
Jacqueline.
Thank you, Elias. And for me, my area of focus is in image consultancy, personal and professional image. In fact, 70% of my business comes from corporate training, and the rest is one-on-one mentoring and coaching. And at the moment, I'm also supporting social enterprises. I'm also the Director of Learning and Development for Athena Empowers, a social enterprise founded by Anja Julia Abu Bakar. So, in this 37th episode of Point of View series, we are going to talk about another topic which I think a lot of men out there would like to be part of the discussion. And also, I believe quite a number or many women would like to know really this kind of information coming from the mouth of a man, right? So the topic is about men's opinion about the perfect wife or girlfriend. I shall hand over to you, Omar, to continue on.
Okay, did you say perfect men's opinion about the perfect wife or girlfriend?
That's right.
I thought you meant and girlfriend.
That's a good one.
That would be perfect. You know, a wife and girlfriend would be perfect, right? Yeah, I know this is a every man's dream. No, this is a common question, to be honest. A common question from a lot of ladies. They're always wondering what kind of women men are looking for and stuff like that. And to be honest with you, today we're going to share a lot of one big secret. And I'm sure Ilyas will agree with me. And the secret here is, and we can end the session right now. The secret is, we don't know.
Yeah, right. Because you are on camera. I believe
So,
you do have.
You know, it's interesting. What's interesting, Jack, is earlier you said that with this topic, women will be able to handle men better. And then you corrected yourself and say, understand men better, right? So yes, so that's the right word, because that's what happened to us. We think we know what we want, and suddenly we get zapped, and then we end up with this girl, you know, for life. And you know what happened. Yeah, so a lot of times what we want or what we imagine we want is different from what we end up with. You know, so that's is a very interesting question. Okay, so interestingly enough, how can I say this? Did I marry the girl of my dreams? Not really. But did I
Ilyas
marry by random? Because there's an element of you know, yeah, there's always a band, a range, right, of like things that you like, and as long as they fit in that range, they're a likely candidate. You know, so usually that's what happens. But I think this is a situation where it's quite individual, and it's quite there's no hard and fast rule, really. It really depends on the individual, you know. But then again, like I said, for a lot of men, they end up with a woman that they never expected to end up, you know, so which is really interesting. And sometimes when you talk to the women, the men actually got maneuvered into marriage. Seriously, they get maneuvered, you know. So a lot of times, although it seems that the man is a predator, right? The man says, "Hey, I want that girl." A lot of times, it's the girl who eyes the men or the man out of the many, and she goes, "I want that guy," but she's able to do it in such a way that it looks as if he's after her. You know that.
Okay.
That's my experience.
Okay. Yeah, justify it that way. Because it's sounding like an accusation.
Ooh, somebody! I think I pressed a button there.
All right.
Yeah. So let me ask Ilyas this question, right? So Ilyas, you're with Hughes now, you know. So I'm going to ask this question, and it's not. I hope it's not going to cause any trouble. But
don't ask then.
Yeah, don't. But is Hughes the girl that you imagine that you'll be married to, or not Hughes as a person?
All right. Okay.
General, yeah. What I mean, right?
Okay. I can answer this. No worries.
He's watching.
Hughes is watching, I know. So she can verify this very well. So, to be honest, in my younger days, I wouldn't expect to marry someone like Hughes, to be honest, yeah. And the reason being because I generally dated girls who are darker skin tone. I very rarely.
Say that again.
I usually date girls with darker skin tone.
Oh, okay.
I don't go out with fair. Come again?
Was that a selection criteria? You mean it's like, oh, this one's too fair, forget it. This one, yeah, nice color.
Yeah, I just like the you know, the darker ones. So and that was been my type lah. And somehow rather in my early 30s, I kind of knew I'm going to end up with someone who's going to be totally the opposite of all the girls I've dated, and that will be the person that I'll get married. I kind of knew that lah already, you know. So and yeah, and that's what happened. I married someone who's different than all the girls that I dated.
Right. I remember back then.
So
Yeah. I remember back then you actually told us a story when you were in your, I don't know, maybe in your 20s. You actually, you flipped through a magazine and you saw this lady, right? And then you told yourself that I'm going to marry, or I'm going to, I don't know,
date her. I'm going to date her.
I'm going to date this girl. Tell us about that.
So yeah, so I was 17. And I was flipping through this. I was 17 when I was flipping this magazine, yeah. And there was this hot chick lah, hot artist lah. Huh? I'm not gonna say names because I won't. So and so I said one day I'm gonna date her. You know, so she's a bit older than me, but you know, I said just jokingly I said that, and you know what? One day I did date her. So that was the story lah. And she was darker skin though. So yeah, so I think growing up, I've had this lots of criteria of, you know, what kind of girl I want to marry to, you know. So everybody has kind of a list, right? So I think it goes the same for women. I think you all have a list of, you know, the guys that you wanna end up with, right? Kan?
Yeah.
So sama juga, I think with men, we also do the same. I also do the same. I have a list, and I don't know, some people will go through the list through the 20s like I did. So I did go through my list in my 20s, and I realized, you know what, I think we'll talk about this later lah, but I realized, you know, there are more there's more to meet the eye lah. I mean, it's not just it usually starts with physical attributes, and then it evolves into other things as we grow older, right? So as I grew older, I realized I was looking for something else.
Right. So that's why for the next discussion, I think I better go into points of, or rather the criteria based on how to say, the attributes, or rather what are the criteria that men, or rather not criteria, it's the opinion around the criteria that I'm going to point out later. And again, I would like to acknowledge, of course, in this kind of discussion, the man will always say, it's not only men, the women also do the same. Definitely, that's really true, right? Because even when I had the casual conversation with my my friends, male friends, right? And they always start with this. Not only men lah, women also do that lah. Of course, it's not only men, right? Yeah. But what we're trying to say here is that let's look from the other side, and how is it exactly? And you know, of course, whatever that we're gonna share later, or you have shared, or what are the things that you will be sharing later, totally based on your understanding, your opinion, and it's not because of, you know, it's a prescription kind of, right? So, okay, so let's start with, personality. Do personalities affect your selection?
Yes, but not at first for me. As shallow as it sounds, but that's the truth though. It wasn't not the first criteria, but it is one of the criteria. So I think certain people like certain personalities, so I kind of like certain personalities. You know, I don't mind girls who can, you know, laugh at herself and with me. So a bit adventurous, you know, a bit rough at the edges. Yeah, I'm alright. So personality, as long as it's not rude, I think I'm alright. Anything goes lah. But nothing like, so it's more of, there's a percentage that I don't want to be with. So macam I don't want to be with, rude people or
Yeah.
what else. So I think this rude lah. Other than rude, I'm quite okay lah actually. I don't know about Omar.
Yeah. Yeah. I never had a fixed personality in mind. So I was more like whoever I meet who was attractive, that's the one I go for. Like for instance, when I was in college, my college sweetheart had a very different personality. Then later on, when I got married to a different person with a different personality, both were contrasting personalities. In college, my girlfriend was kind of quiet. She was not very sociable. Not in that sense. Not talkative. Very private. Things like that. But when I got married, she was very animated, very bubbly, and very lively, high energy, and all of that stuff. So yeah, it depends. But I think I agree with Elias. It's more of like what kind of person I don't want to go out with, and I think generally it's probably about the same. Someone who's ill-mannered, rude, mean to people. I mean, you don't want all that, right? But if they're kind, they have. When you say rough around the edges, I know what you mean, Elias, but at the same time, they know when to be show respect. I mean, there's a lot of respect, right? They don't have to be this dainty lady, with a pinky up when they drink. I actually don't want that. I don't know. You don't want that because it's like, how are you gonna hang out with this person, right? So you want someone that you can live out with. You can rough it out a bit, but at the same time, they are refined in their values, right? They're refined in the social manners and things like that. Yeah. So I think the personality is more like you tell the universe, give me a surprise, as long as those values are okay, the personality that really doesn't matter. But I think as you get older and as you get more experience, for me anyway, I tend to kind of figure out what I want. Should I ever pair up again? And it's someone that has similar with yours, Ilya, has a big sense of humor. Sense of humor is a big thing for me. You got to have a sense of humor about yourself, about life, things like that, right? Someone who's chill. You make a mistake, we both laugh. She makes a mistake, we both laugh, and you just make it work, that kind of stuff. Life is tough enough as it is for someone to be critical of you. You just want to be easy with one another. Yeah.
So
does that answer your question, Jack?
Yeah.
Sorry?
Well, I'm just wondering, has it been like that, or is it because phases of life that brought you into this kind of enlightenment? So how was it? Perhaps no, because this question will be probably for us to understand that those who are in a certain age might have a different way of looking in terms of personality.
I think that's I think that's the different phases in life has something to do with it as well. Like for me now, looking back, I remember when I was with my girlfriend, I was always trying to fix her, her, make her be a certain way. 18 for a few years, 18, early 20s. You want her to be a certain way.
Around the age, he was like looking at a specific kind of woman. Okay, interesting. Continue.
Yeah, so like for instance, if she was too quiet, I wanted her to be more alive, more bubbly, and things like that. So those are the kind of things that I think I've learned to not pay attention to or not to focus on nowadays. You kind of like evaluate the person, not evaluate. You kind of accept the person as they are, because to me now, values are more important than anything else. How they are, how they behave is actually will be determined by their values anyway, right? So whether they're noisy or quiet or whatever it is, will still be like for instance, if the girl is very extroverted, very sociable, and all of that stuff, it's fine because her values will determine how far she goes.
Right.
You know, yeah.
So listening
Yeah.
to both of you, right? Okay, I have this next question still in this subject of personality. Are you affected, or rather the selection are based on you trying to whether are you okay to make yourself compatible with this person, or rather you choose because, oh, okay, this person is compatible with me, something like that? Or can you sort of like, can you compromise, or will this person compromise on me, something like that? How is it?
Yeah, I'll take it from here.
Yeah.
When in my process and phases, right, before I met you, kan, apa tu, it used to be either, you know, I'll kind of fit myself to it, to them, or you know, like Omar say, you know, she's a project. It becomes like that. I mean, I'm not saying that
Yeah.
exactly what we do, but when you put it that way, it did come up that way sometimes, you know, just to be honest. And after a lot of times, I realized that fitting myself to, you know, to want to make it work doesn't work, at least for me.
Okay.
So I realized that until, you know, soon enough, that when I met you, I'm already macam, okay lah, you know, we need to really be like this lah. It needs to be a win-win. Nobody is changing for anyone, you know. We just
So
perfect for each other. That's for me lah.
Right. So when you decided to get serious, was it okay, I think I can be like this with her, or I think she can be like this with her? What was the thinking? I can be, or she can be. Oh, yeah.
I mean, I can. The thing is, there's no compromise on either end for me lah. It wasn't a compromise from either end. It was, we can be together. And because of that, we are perfect for each other, you know.
Wow.
Yeah. So when we got married, you know, she doesn't talk a lot like me. I talk a lot. You know, she works a lot. So you know, so it kind of like, so the relationship itself became what for me, like it was like, you know what, I get married to straighten up myself. You know, it became that for me. So it wasn't, at first sometimes, you know, old habits die hard, kan? But you know, I kind of like catch myself, and you know what, it's not about her, it's about me straightening out my life, and you know, our life will sort out itself. So when we got married, when we got serious pun, I already know that this is not me trying to fit myself into her life, or you know, I'm trying to fix her to you know, to whatever lah, you know. So sometimes ada juga, but I always catch myself not to. I remind myself not to, because like Omar said lah, life is already hard, kan. Kenapa kita nak ni? We just need to try to enjoy with each other lah. So but before that though, Jacqueline, it was me compromising a lot lah. Because I wanted to be with that person so much, so I compromised a lot, and that ends up me, you know, having a lot of friction. Some relationship last years, some don't.
What did you do to avoid that? I mean, so to rather manage that you trying to be compatible, and that created like friction. So if those who are listening us perhaps also experiencing the same, what should this person or this man be doing?
Don't be together. I mean, if you're not in a marriage lah, I mean, if you need to work really hard just to be with each other, kan, it's a lot of work when you get married lah, because you're going to live with each other.
Right.
You know, there are other things that you don't see that you will see, and it's going to get tougher lah. So if you are dating and you already need to work a lot, I think it's a red flag for me. I don't know about other people, but it's already a red flag for me. I'm not afraid of working myself if for me to be better, but the realization needs to come from that, I want to straighten up my life. It's not about I want to straighten up my life because I want to be with that kind of thing. So that doesn't work. That's, at least for me, if you try to force fit it, I don't know, this relationship, it doesn't work. Not to me, not for me at least. My thoughts.
Yeah, your opinion. The personality-wise, the same question. Is it either you look at this lady or this person, whether are you okay to be compatible, or this person will be able to be compatible with you?
Yeah.
Or how is it?
Somebody once told me, and this guy is someone that I kind of model my being a father. As a father, I'm kind of model how I treat my kids, model it after him. And he said to me, if you can spend a whole day with the other person, just doing nothing or playing board games or just doing nothing, and you're completely okay with that, then that's a person to be with. And I think that's a in a way is a good way to look at it, because a lot of times when you meet someone, you're only focused on one particular aspect of that person, right? And it's usually you're caught in a moment where the person and you are sharing some magical moments. You're either laughing, or the situation makes you feel good, it's romantic or whatever it is. But when reality sets in, suddenly you find that there's a lot of differences. But if you can spend some time with the other person for a long period and be completely at ease and okay, I think that's a better gauge of how well we can get along with this person, right? So for me, I guess it would be like someone you can laugh with, or someone who can make you laugh. It goes both ways, and every now and then surprise you. And again, it works both ways. Yeah, and I think what's important also is I think every one of us is a flawed human being. I think if someone thinks they're not, then there's a flaw itself in itself. And being a flawed human being, well, for me anyway, I would like to feel safe with the other person. For the other person to recognize the flaw and then to simply compliment that.
What do you mean by be safe?
Feel safe means, let's say, well, I for one, I'm kind of like I get lost in my head. So I could be driving somewhere. Let's say I could be driving to the office. Every day you're driving to the office, and then one day you make a different turn and you're lost, and you have to make a big round. And I've had a relationship where the other person gets upset, but I've also been with people, not a relationship, been with people who laugh about it, and then they'll just support you, and that kind of stuff. So that's what I mean by, and then you feel safe. You make a mistake, you feel safe because it is a mistake, and the other person doesn't come down on you, but simply understands it and just supports you. And of course, again, it has to work both ways, But when I talk about mistakes, I'm not talking about being irresponsible. You get your I'm not talking about being responsible. I'm just talking about mistakes like that. And so someone who can just support you, and even if you make mistakes and you fall short, and you feel safe,
right?
Because you know that you're not getting judged or
yes.
You know what I mean.
So that's number one, which is the personality. What I can summarize from both of you, Ilyas is more about when I look at that person's personality, whether that person can straighten me. You said that. Correct me if I'm wrong, or whether I can.
I mean, the relationship can, I can think that I'm straightening up myself lah. So
yeah.
It
Something around there, it's about, can this person sort of like compliment me in my flaws, and the relationship can be like this, right? And Omar's, what I got from yours is, regardless of this is my shape and this is your shape, whether can we both like this or not, right?
Well-
I can be lost, and you can accept that in a sense that you know, you can use that as like a joke, or rather than you makan me, marah me, or something like that. You know, I want to put it in a very very visual and very clear, because the point here is not to have one size fits all, right?
Yeah.
And I like from the similarity between both of you around personality is that it's not the first thing that you look into a person, into a lady. Meaning it's not the first one that you as your criteria of selection. Correct?
Yeah. Yes, true.
Well-
True.
Okay. You want to say something, Omar?
No, I'm not sure what you mean by personality, but I don't know. Maybe it's characteristics. I would look at, you know, to put it simply, I would look at someone who is smart, funny, has a sense of education. When I say has sense of education, I don't mean having a degree, you know, but someone who has a mind that wants to grow, you know, that kind of stuff. So I think that's what I look for. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so next point is affection.
Affection.
How do you look at the affection as the criteria on, or rather the characteristic or attributes? I don't know whether you call it as a attribute of the other person. Ilyas? Whether this person has got this attitude, can it be attitude? Behavior of affectionate.
Behavior.
Affectionate. Maybe behavior, or rather can be aura as well, right?
I think affection itself has a spectrum. I think.
Okay.
You know, it's not like a black and white thing. You know, ada orang dia affection dia sikit-sikit, ada orang affection dia macam very public. You know. So I think it boils down to your love language. And if you've heard of love language, some people, you know, like touch, you know, as a form of affection.
What's your love language?
Mine, I think, is words and touch. I think.
Okay.
Words and touch, yeah.
So your tendency will be on that, as in when
so I like to be hugged. I like to be told that, you know, that I'm loved. I macam tu. Macam like my wife, you probably, you know, service or apa tu time, dia macam tu. So it's a bit different. Our affection is different. Tapi our language of affection is different. But as long as you know each other's love language, you'll be fine. I think it's just the way.
So apa you punya love language?
Time dengan service.
What do you mean by service?
Service means I buat macam chores.
I see.
You know, I do, you know, laundry ke,
okay.
you know, I set up makan ke. So dia macam tu. I think it kind of evolves. I think sometimes at some point, I think she will come to the arena of gifts as affection. So you know, I'm hoping she's not going to arrive there, but when she does, I better be ready for it.
So okay, interesting point. So when you met her, probably not really met her, as in like when you're in a flow of thought whether want to go serious with you or not, has it been like one of your criteria of selection? As in like, will she be able to fulfill my love language?
Not at all. I think the ability to fulfill it was downright in the awareness of, you know, the existence of love language. A lot of people don't know that. You know, this thing called love language in the first place, you know. I think once you know, you just fulfill lah. That's it.
Yeah, so let me go to that.
Sorry, Umar.
Yeah.
What if you don't know?
Yeah.
What if you don't know, right?
For those who are listening, Probably like, what do you mean by love language? Do you need to read? Actually,
Exactly.
you need, but how do you sort of like gauge your love language? And also perhaps,
you would. I mean, love language already they already didn't make a distinction of 5 love languages, kan? So you can just Google that. You will kind of figure out what your love language are, and after enough interactions, you will kind of figure out what your partner's love language are. And both of us also identified our parents' love language, so it was easy for us to serve our parents as well. So it has been helpful knowing this love language. Previously, when I didn't know about this love language, it was pretty hard to show affection. For some, it was all right. It was downright okay. But for some, it was pretty difficult because we are showing affection very differently.
Yeah.
So when you don't know, it becomes difficult. When you know, it becomes easier. Kan? So if you don't know, you can find me and we can, have a coaching session. 1 hour. It's done,
Yeah.
Can either call Ilyas or Omar on your love language coaching?
No, I think I failed there.
Okay, Omar.
No, this is what I wanted to say. I think it might be a good time to elaborate on what you mean by love language, because to be honest, this is the second time I've heard it, and the first time I heard it was maybe a few years ago. I heard it in passing, and I'm like, oh, I never thought of that. And I think most men are not aware, don't have this awareness. Like for instance, one of them, I'm sure. In fact, I've not looked it up. I'm trying to look it up by the internet is slow. I'm just trying to look it up right now. So you guys got to elaborate. One of them, I'm sure, is gifts. I think women love gifts. Right?
Some women, not all.
I didn't know. I didn't know. For me, gifts are not really necessary, or it's not really necessary. And also, I'm not
because
sure
gifts are not your love language. You see.
No, it's not. I know it's not necessary for me. Well, actually,
because it's not your love language.
I'm talking about for the girl, right?
Yeah.
So for you. For the girl, definitely will be all those. Everyone has got the 5 love languages.
Yeah.
And for you, because you find it is not important because it's not your love language.
Exactly. So so when it's not important to me, I was never aware that it was important to the girl.
Yeah.
Right? Or if I wanted to give them something, it's going to be something really fancy. Right. So I think that was one of the things missing in my relationship.
So
I didn't understand
do you think your love language? Actually, right, love language is something like I
didn't understand. And it's really important.
Okay, so my next question for you, Omar, is that actually the simple term of love language is actually popularized by, if I'm not mistaken, John Gray. If I'm mistaken, I have to check. Because he's also the writer for Men from Mars, Women from Venus, something like that.
Yeah.
So I read that a long time ago as well. Okay, Omar, I think for those who are pretty much new of this term love language, it's really around the layman term of it is, when do you feel excited when someone give you some gesture? Does someone mean someone special? Like for me, I'm very I'm very excited when my ex-boyfriend now. Okay, forget about that.
So if you're watching now, you know, right?
my boyfriend will like compliment me. Like mine is more on that words, compliment me, and gift is secondary. Again, if I have it, it will heighten up the excitement, but not the real. But as long as I have this conversation around, okay, acknowledging what I have done and having a good conversation, for me, that's my first love language. So what about you, Omar?
Yeah, so like I said, gifts, I think I like to receive gifts, but giving was not something which was, occurred to me. That's occurred to me because I thought if the girl wants gifts, she's materialistic. No, seriously, that was my thought. But I'm looking at, okay, the internet is back. There are 5 areas like you mentioned. One is words of affirmation, right? The other one is quality time. Then receiving gifts, acts of service, doing things for them, and physical touch. So, you know, you got to know your partner's love language. Now I understand it. Now you tell me, Elias. So for me, I think, I got to think about this. It's probably both words and also physical touch is important as well. But you know, physical touch means, you know, just a contact, a bit of a contact, right? But if you're away, I guess it would be words.
Right.
Yeah, it would be words. Yeah.
It seems like we trainers, we like to hear words, good words.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
we are pretty much okay.
But that's how we
third of my
deliver
words.
value, you see, is through our words, right?
Yeah,
Kita deliver value pun through our words. So that's why, I suppose.
and we are trust. I think we sort of like we trust words more. I think maybe because of our profession, I'm not sure. Right, and that gets my third point. What about trust? What about trust element?
Trust.
Well, that's a big
I don't know.
obviously,
I easily trust someone. So I trust until you prove me a reason not to. I think it goes both ways. Never an issue for me though.
Okay. What about in
Trust.
your previous, you know, like your relationship before use? I don't know. I mean, I'm just asking your experience. Whether have you been in a situation where you decided not to trust this person because of certain things that this lady or your ex-girlfriend did or something like that?
Oh, never.
No.
Never. They, you know, they're wonderful people. So, you know, I think trust is never an issue with them. Probably they have issues with trust with me sometimes, you know. When I was in my naughty,
I'm about to
you
say
know,
that.
in my naughty days, kind. But trust with them, never had an issue. I never had an issue trusting anyone pun until really you have crossed me in a very wrong way, or you have done something. That's the only way I will not trust you. But I can trust easily. It can be dangerous for me, you know. But I trust easily.
Right. Omar.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm very, I easily trust, not just women, men too. You know, but over time you learn to make better judgment, right? But of course, I think trust is the basis of any relationship. So that's something that you really, really need to cherish. You know, it's trust is something you really need to hold dear in that relationship. If there's no trust, and when I'm talking about trust, I'm not just talking about seeing someone else. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about to be able to trust that the person supports you, to be able to trust that you're safe with the person, to be able to trust that, you know, the term, she's got my back, you know, for a fact that she's got your back, you know, and even if you screw up, you know that she's got your back still, you know, that kind of trust. Obviously trusting, if you don't trust her with the relationship, in other words, if you don't trust her that she's seeing someone else, I mean, that's completely out, right? So that's the first one. You've got to trust her that you're the only guy that she's with. Again, it works both ways, but trust in those other areas. Yeah, I think those are really, really important.
All right. And I think I would like to hear this one is, I think, the hottest ever point when it comes to attributes of a perfect wife or girlfriend, which is looks.
Number one. As much as whatever people want to say about this, kan, dia macam ni, very simple. Between an iPhone and between an ugly phone, which phone you will choose? You choose an iPhone, right? Between an ugly car and a beautiful car, you choose a beautiful car. And you know what? I don't even mention which car is which, right? So whatever that's beautiful for you, you choose. So looks definitely is the first thing I look at. You know, doesn't make me a shallow guy. It just make me human like everybody else. You know,
Yeah.
never want to buy ugly clothes first, right? You want to buy the best clothes that that looks good on you, right? So sama juga. I think when I date, when I want to date someone, looks are the number one, and then it comes to personality, apa semua. But when it comes to longevity of a relationship, it definitely values. But if you first looks, hands down. Orang nak kata apa, cakap lah. But this is the truth. At least for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. No, I think that's true. Looks,
Yeah.
everybody is visual, right? But looks is not the determining factor. It's is the number one factor for attraction.
Yeah.
You're attracted by looks. If you can see, otherwise, if you can't see, then of course voice, whatever else. But it's all physical. But having said that, I think the way the person looks. Okay, what I wanted to say is that I've also heard guys saying that I don't want her. I don't want to go out with her because she's too good looking. I'd rather go out with someone else who's less good looking. Yeah. But I don't know whether that's because of other reasons. Like for instance, some guys get, security is one, but some guys get married because it serves them. You know, I think for a guy like you, yeah, okay, so let me elaborate. So I think for a guy like Ilyas, getting married means sharing life with a partner, right? It's an adventure. You go on an adventure with a partner. But for some men, and I know this for personally, they look for marriage. They look for a woman who can actually serve them. You know, look after them, cook for them. When they're sick, look after them. Yeah. So that's the criteria.
To act of service too.
Yeah, so again, it depends on the individual, you know, but I'm like Ilyas, the looks is what attracts me, but it's not the main determinant factor.
Yeah, it's not a determining factor.
It just attracts you. But I've also met really good looking women that I'm not attracted to because of other areas. You know, personality didn't match, or, you know, whatever. Personality.
Okay. Interesting because it's kind of like polarized idea around, okay, it's good to have look as your first, I mean, I have the tendency to use looks as my criteria of whether I want to proceed or not with this person, but not the criteria whether I want to go serious with this lady, right?
Yeah.
However, I believe it's not totally not there when you are going into decision of, you know, okay lah, easy, you want to get married or not. There might be also some element on that, right? It's not like totally you ignore the look. Am I right?
Alamak, I lost the line, yeah. Can you say that
I lost the line where you were saying.
I lost it.
Yeah, I'm just saying, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I'm just saying that I'm hearing like a polarized idea around looks. One is like, okay, it's actually, yeah, the first thing that I will, in fact, when I said that, you said the first one, you know, yeah, this the first criteria. But when you are getting into the rational thinking around, be very serious about getting into this person, which is going into marriage, it's no longer the first one, but it still be the one of the criteria that you are using, rather you look.
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
So no, we have used the criteria just to know that person. So it's no longer a question.
It's just
to approach.
It's just an attraction here.
It's just an attraction factor. It makes your head turn. Oh, she's gorgeous. I want to know her. But it doesn't mean that you're gonna fall in love with her.
Yeah.
You know. But at the same, so having said that, though, to me, what's more important when it comes to looks is apart from what she's born with, is more of how she takes care of herself. You know, how she takes care of her appearance.
Meaning?
Right?
Okay.
Yeah, someone who is not overly groomed, because then you know it's going to be a problem. All the time they're groomed. Or not overly undergroomed. You know, someone who's presentable, knows how to look nice and neat, and the hair's not all over the place, or clothes are like tentuara, that kind of stuff. So someone who takes care of how she appears. So to me, that's important. Yeah.
Right. So I want to ask you a question that might be a bit, I don't know, it depends on you how are you going to answer this.
Incriminating.
Yeah, especially Yus pula, especially Ilyas. And it's also talking about Yus. Okay, sorry, Yus. Okay. So, all right, if it's not the determining factor of whether I want to go serious with this person, but I believe it's a criteria that needed when you're already husband and wife, that the lady, because we always hear this, right? The lady or the wife need to take care of herself. Is it true? Take care as in the look, like being presentable, grooming, and.
So I think it depends on people lah.
Yeah.
My wife is visual. She's an architect, so I know she'll take care of herself because they need visual, kan?
Yeah.
I need that visual, so I think she takes care of me. Comes to look, but you know what? I get where you're coming from, and I do agree that taking care of yourself, both men and women, husband and wife, is a win-win for both.
Yeah.
What do you mean by win-win?
For both. So right now I'm not in the best shape of my life lah. So I'm not eye candy so much to use lah. But somehow rather use feels very safe because I'm not an eye candy. So I don't know whether I should be get myself into shape or not. But truthfully, I would like to get to shape. And I think as women, I think you are naturally, you all want to be in shape all the time. It's just whether you have the will to do it or not. I think there's no question about wanting to look good. As much as sometimes I do downplay the looking good part, but the truth is I like to look good. I think I haven't met anyone who really doesn't like to look good.
Well,
and I think looking good can secretly, I think looking good can help you in your relationship for both of you. Tak ada masalah, determining factor, I don't know. We are still fine now, I guess. So it should be alright. But of course, if you ask me, do I want her to look in shape, all the time for the next 10, 15, 20 years? Yes. You ask me, yes. Do I want to be that? Yes, as well. So I can only ask something that I can do as well. So if I'm like this, I'm not saying a lot to her, So I'm not in the best shape of my life. She's pretty in shape. So
I'm sort of like the golden words that you said just now. Like I can only expect something from her as
something
much
that
as
I'm willing to do myself.
Yes, because a lot of time before we go to Omar, I would like to also say this, because a lot of time the husbands this is kind of like an issue around our society that it is
husband kaya perut buncit suruh bini cantik-cantik.
Like and expecting
it doesn't make sense to me.
Exactly. Expecting the wife, like even this is issue from during the MCO kan, kalau nak menyapu kat rumah pun kena pakai lipstick. Something like that. I don't know what kind of whatever it is, but I mean, for me it has to be both ways. You expecting something, you have to be able to do that as well. Okay, Omar, around looks or around this.
Actually what Ilyas was saying just now about win-win, here's how I can say that, or how I can elaborate on that. I think the win-win is like this. So when you look good, to me, looking good, I'm not referring to doing your hair and putting on makeup and stuff like that. It's just taking care of yourself. right? And if you both have, I would like for both to have that consciousness. So because guess what? As you you can't be consistent sometimes. You slacken off. But if your partner is one of her values is taking care of herself, then you inevitably has to do it as well. Or if you're taking care of yourself and she doesn't, then she has to take care of herself as well. So that's why the win-win is there, because it's more of a health issue than anything else, right? So that's where the looking good comes in. At the same time, what I find disappointing is that for a lot of ladies, they look good for others. So I think this is what the government wants.
A lot of wives?
The wife. They, in other words, before they're married, they're always looking good. The minute they are married, they let go.
Guys don't.
Right? They let go.
I like the line of questioning. Jacqueline, you mean guys don't?
They
Guys do as well, okay?
True. No, it's true. I'm just okay, that's true. But what happens is that they let go, and then they only look good when they go out. I'm like, what's the point? So the thing is that we're not expecting. I'm not expecting my wife to be looking good at home, with makeup and stuff like that. In fact, that's not even a question. But it's like, look decent at home, and look decent at home. Don't be sloppy, and it works both ways. So I've always been careful not to be sloppy, because like I think I'm like Elias. How can you be like pro buncit and then so haggard and stuff like that, and yet you have an expectation that your wife looks good, So it doesn't make any sense.
Right. And as I'm listening to both of you, it's actually there are a lot of what we have been sharing is the vicinity around our experiences, our encounters, but there are out there a lot of variations. We see supermodel with different form of man, this kind of stuff, right? But we're not talking about that part. And I would like to also acknowledge our audience. In fact, a few perspective here from Nurul, Nurul Blue Eyes. After a few months of knowing each other, the perfect person is no longer that perfect, or may no longer meet the initial expectation. Then what? Exactly.
Yeah. So what happens usually, I think, the first 6 months, which I call the honeymoon period, usually people send about 3 to 6 months, 3 to 6 months. Right? You can never go beyond.
That's quick.
Usually people send someone else on their behalf. You get what I'm saying?
Okay.
So when you meet, you're not being yourself. You're just being this perfect self. So you're sending someone else on your behalf. That's what happens in the first 6 months. So whatever I've been sharing just now, right, is for after the honeymoon period. After the kentut is no longer wangi, right? Right? So all this will come out lah. This is when you can see whether you are for each other or not.
Yeah.
Right. So
I think the context of me meeting you is very different, because when we met each other, we were ready to get married already. So it's very different.
Meaning, like both of you are ready to, know each other long, as in like you were friends?
No. We were friends. Her best friend is a mutual friend of me. Her best friend is a good friend of mine in university. So through association, I kind of know, okay, she must be decent, it's because my friend's best friend, right? So, but I already was looking into values when we first know each other. Past the initial attraction, very very quick, and I was looking already for the values, and even at that time for her, I would say she must have not gone through the initial attraction phase, because I was fat and I remember I had a long janggut, right? And when I look down, I can't see my feet, right? So So I think she has gone past the physical attraction, or either that or she remembered me from the past somewhere. So I think we both of us were ready to get married, so it was pretty easy. We're both real and adults about it, lah.
So what happened? You looked at it and nak kahwin?
Huh? Apa
So
dia?
you just look at it, nak kahwin?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I did.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. After a week, I told her,
nice.
I said, if you have no intention of getting married, let's not do this.
Okay.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think it should be that way. Cut the crap.
yeah,
Okay.
we cut
Yeah, but it's not that easy. It comes after a period of life where you've experienced a lot of stuff. You know, it doesn't
yeah,
happen
yeah.
just like
And I
It's
think
true.
yeah, true. And it's not blindly done because you've met each other for long. I mean, well, you've known each other, although it's not like on a girlfriend boyfriend, but at least you have worked together in that association. So it's
We kind of know each other, lah. So, and I think it was something that was pretty important. Oh, I think as long as you realize that you yourself have flaws, and that person has to live with your flaws as much as you have to live with whatever that is not, perfect according to you, right?
yeah,
You'll be alright.
yeah, true.
You'll be
And
alright.
this is from Yus. Yes, I think she is referring to love language. Yes, I'm give me more, Ilyas. You sharp.
now, see, I've opened a can of worms now. Now she's already at a gift.
Right. Let me also acknowledge our regular viewer, Salim. Salim said, through my life experience, I think I would go for an older love partner, maybe because they are more mature and experienced in life. And I'm a down-to-earth guy, old school, even though I'm not supposed to be this way at my age. I wonder how old is Salim? Salim is Omar's nephew. All right, so thank you so much, our viewers. There are a lot of you here. Let me acknowledge some. Anna Shamila, my friend, thank you so much. And Vivian, we also have Tina Blaze, my friend, Benedict Grace, my friend, Nadia Abbas, Henry Young, Chen.
Oh, your friend lah, Jacqueline. We've
No,
got less friends now.
And also, well, all these are actually our mutual friends. And a few more. Thank you so much for dropping by. All right.
Yeah.
I think that's all for today. Okay, Salim is playing guessing game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jack, just one word about looks, right? Just one word about looks. I think what we've talked about, looking after yourself, good looks and things like that. Again, that's my values, right? Because I have seen so many couples who are comfortable in their own skin and both are out of shape and shabby and whatever it is, and they're completely fine, and that's great. So at the end of the day, it's about whether your values match. So to me, that's the formula, whether your values match.
Values, yeah.
And beauty is in the
eye of the beholder.
I mean, you might be seeing them macam tu, tapi mungkin between them is like they are perfect already in terms of looks.
Yeah.
It's just about it's your own interpretation, it's your own perception and preferences, right? So thank you so much, gentlemen. There's no perfect wife or there's no perfect girlfriend. I think we need to justify that again and again. But well, okay, let me say
it's perfect for each other.
Perfection is in your own definition. I'm not saying there's no perfect. It's the perfection itself, the definition, it comes from your own definition. And I guess as long as we are able to talk about it and put everything down, put it on the table and discuss, or rather not really to discuss lah, to make it clear, create some common understanding, that's where then we will be able to communicate and understand each other better, right? Thank you so much, gentlemen. And to our viewers, we have our 38th episode on Wednesday. We'll have a new topic, a serious topic on every Wednesday. And on Friday, we will have a slot in Bahasa Malaysia. Purely in Bahasa Malaysia, cabaran generasi masa kini tentang penguasaan bahasa Malaysia. Dan ini juga adalah salah satu cabaran untuk terutamanya Sheikh Omar Anwar. Dan saya okey sedikit lagi dalam bahasa Malaysia, saya boleh lagi. Alright, so thank you so much again and again, and goodbye everyone, and we shall switch off the live streaming.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, good.
Yeah, bagus lah Ilyas.